crew.
And I don't have time to disconnect.
You don't have to do a disconnect. You just go in your settings in the garage.
Alright, we're going into qualifying.
Done qualifying, Ed?
Yeah.
Hey, on the results page, what's the R at the top right?
Hi, ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the technical difficulty here. We are having some issues going on with the latest update. Huge update tonight. Had to actually switch over the room and bounce off the setup, so I apologize for the update issue with the software. We are live and in gear. We have got Mark Jackson out there on that front line. Garrett Potts, Devin Armstrong, Travis Browder. Travis Browder coming in third position last night. Mark Jackson, very dominant last night. Hoping to see Mark Jackson very dominant out here tonight. Devin Armstrong sitting in second. Garrett Potts sitting in third. Now these drivers are at a slight disadvantage with the iRacing update that we had today. Let's do a little bit of interference with the channel communications, as you noticed with the broadcast tonight. Several drivers having issues with their microphones and their radios. So hopefully that will not be an issue out here tonight. Mark Jackson, Devin Armstrong off for a good start. Edward Bray sitting in third position. Edward Bray coming in second place last night. Travis Browder, Anthony Poston sitting in fifth and sixth. Three wide action there with the number 15 in the middle. 15 of Anthony Poston with Donald Stewart on the outside of Anthony Poston, back down to double file racing. John Pansula in the 0-1, watching all this activity develop out of his front windshield. Taylor Potts in the 931, position 11. Now last night, ladies and gentlemen, it was lap 3 when the big one came out. So we are hoping to get past lap 3 tonight before we do have a caution. Pat Richey in the number 9 racing hard with Garrett Potts in the number 40. Donald Stewart taking a peek on that inside door. Donald Stewart in the number 40, side by side. Great racing out here at Charlotte Motor Speedway so far. So far, so good. We are crossing our fingers and hoping for the best as the 211 Tristan Beats and the number 9 Grinch Pat Richey are side by side on lap 4 of 125. Travis Browder trying to chase down Edward Bray, but so far to no avail. Travis Browder pretty proud of himself as of last night, and indeed should be. Tristan Beats in the DFDA.info Diabetes Awareness. Drive for Diabetes Awareness.info. Donald Stewart in the Bass Pro Shop Chevy Silverado. On his rear end is the Bass Pro Shop Tundra, being driven by Garrett Potts with John Pansula hot on his tail. Off to a much better start out here tonight at Charlotte as John Pansula takes a look onto the inside of Garrett Potts. Thought he could do it. He's got Anthony Poston on it, was outside. Anthony in the monster number 15. Number 931, Taylor Potts taking a peek. Taylor Potts side by side with the number 15, tighter than a hair in a biscuit. Here on lap 7, Taylor Potts getting a run on the number 15. And a fair and square pass on the number 15 of Anthony Poston. Jake Ritchie tonight in the Toyota Reese's. Number 17 for Jake Ritchie. Currently is in 12th position. As we walk our way back through this field, Gary Whitmer. Now here is a truck we really have got to stop and take a good look at 188 miles per hour. Gary Whitmer already signed up, sealed up, jacked up, and ready to go for the 4th annual KMA Santadega. Coming to you live on KMA TV on December 23rd. That'll be 125 laps off at Auto Club. And Gary Whitmer looking very sharp out there in the number 5 in position 13. Pro Automotive Jason Russo, number 14, in position 14. Jason Russo, our sponsor for the night. Big shout out there to Jason Russo and Pro Automotive for taking care of us on our Tuesday night series of Tuesday Night Trucks. Sitting here at Charlotte on the Mile and a Half Speedway, Jason Russo matching the number with the position. Lee Staples, position 15. Tough break for Lee Staples last night. Got caught up in the big one through no fault of his own. Out there minding his own business and T-boned. Certainly hoping that Lee Staples has a much better evening out here tonight. David Casey in the number 20 Flex Bolt. Big shout out there to David Casey for helping us out with those videos that we saw at the beginning of tonight's broadcast. Good job, David Casey. Kevin Scott Nelson driving the Pad Christmas truck. I do believe that was from last year. Trying to get us all in the mood. Big shout out there to Kevin Scott Nelson. Position 17, Lloyd Saunders out of California. And the number 19, Rap Graphics, being chased down by Lee Ryerson. Lee Ryerson also showing his support for Pad and the Merry Christmas 2016 issue done by Over the Top Paints and Designs. Paul Pellizier in the KMA TV truck done by Gearhead Paint Shop in position 20 and the number 31. Big shout out there to Paul Pellizier, owner of Kickin' Out. Owner of Kickin' Asphalt Motorsports, running along with Jason Russo, Kevin Scott Nelson, teammates of Paul Pellizier, David Casey as well. Tight racing here with 22 and the 19. Boys starting to get comfortable here on lap 14, starting to figure out their lines. 22 with a run, opening up that door for the number 31. .31 wanting a little bit of that action. Joel Guy on the tail end of that field. Danny Rudy in the number 24. Ben Gear in the number 4. Ben Gear down on that apron. Ben Gear in the Dunkin' Donuts. Looks like he is going to be making a unscheduled stop. Checking in on our race leader, Mark Jackson. Wow, he is out there by 2.0 seconds. 2.0 seconds off of Edward Bray. Edward Bray taking second place last night. Travis Browder taking third. Hoping to do a little bit better tonight. I think Travis was awesome last night. Mark Jackson just could not be caught. Mark Jackson, I believe, led 60, 70 some laps last night. Looking to do it again. So far leading 17 laps. Devin Armstrong, Travis Browder battling for third and fourth. Number 224 of Kevin Scott Nelson still trying to work his way around. Jason Russo. Jason Russo trying to get around Dave Acacia. Lee Staples still alive. Well, already a much happier camper than last night, but watch the number 17, Jake Ritchie, side-by-side racing with Lee Staples. Dave Acacia all over the rear end of Lee Staples. No contact, though. No hurry, no worry. I want to give a big shout out there to the wife of Lee Staples, Karen. Oftentimes, it's a little bit rough being the wife of an iRacer. The boys take this shit seriously, I tell you what. Lee Staples very upset last night with a few of his fellow drivers, and justifiably so. Last night, I tell you what, drivers were out there wanting to win it on lap 3. And I think maybe they're going to bring a little bit of last night, the education they received, to the track tonight. Already off to a much better race than last night. Had some very nice green flag pit stops last night. Hoping to see those develop tonight. Once we get up to about lap 35 or 40, drivers will be beginning to pay attention to their fuel situation. Dave Acacia, Jason Russo, Kevin Scott Nelson. These three drivers on the same sub-team of KMA Racing, Kicking Asphalt. Trusting one another. Possibly going to just stick together. Draft really not an issue out here at Charlotte, but I tell you what, if you're going to drive around drivers, you want to be able to trust those drivers. And Dave and Jason and Kevin and Paul Pellizer, for that matter, very comfortable driving with one another. Hopefully the boys from Kicking Asphalt can get something going out here tonight. Lee Ryerson and Joel Guy picking it up for positions 19th and 20th. Drivers putting down lap times of a 31.6 for Lee Ryerson. Joel Guy is sitting at a 31.6 as well, with a fast lap of a 29.865. John Pansula started 8th, currently is in 8th. Showing a fair amount of patience out here tonight, knowing he has got an extremely long time to get her done tonight. Now, as I mentioned, these drivers are working with some brand new physics out here tonight. The first setup that we laid these drivers with out tonight, none of the drivers were happy with it. We made a last-minute change on the setup, on the engine, if you will. The boys only had about 10 minutes to get that practice in with that new setting. But so far, doing much, much better than they did last night. Edward Bray, Devin Armstrong swapping positions for 2 and 3. They're going to be doing that for quite a while, but once again tonight, Mark Jackson appears Mark Jackson cannot be caught. Mark told me last night it had been a while since he's won a race. He was very happy last night. Mama Patty was happy with him. Kristen was happy with him. Mark Jackson going to try to do it again. And right now, as long as that caution does not fly, and as long as he can make it into pit row clean and green, Mark Jackson off to a very well start as the first fifth of tonight's race is done. In the rear of the field, in position 18 of 22, we've got Lloyd Saunders hailing out of Canada. Nice paint job on the number 19 Chevy Silverado. Lloyd Saunders running lap times of a 31.228, a little bit slower than that front pack. Falling down 4 spots from 14th to 18th. Paul Pellizer in the number 31. Want to give a big shout out there to Gearhead Paint Shop. Beautiful paint job done by Ted Emmenheiser. And that is the official KM8 TV truck. Beautiful gift from Ted. Paul Pellizier taking real good care of it so far. Big shout out there to Gearhead Paint Shop. Gearhead Paint Shop, all about the skulls. Kevin Scott Nelson, you got to love this 224. He is ready for Christmas. Probably already got his Christmas tree up. What do you think? Supporting PAD, People Against Distracted Driving. It's about a half a second off of his teammate Jason Russo and Dave Acacia. Lee Staples, Gary Whitmer Jr. fighting for position 12 and 11. Gary Whitmer Jr. in the holiday truck. Lee Staples with a pass on the inside of Gary Whitmer. Gary Whitmer giving that leeway down on the inside, side by side, fighting back on that outside. Last night, Gary Whitmer pulling down a 5th place. Told me he had spent 2 or 3 hours yesterday practicing for the race. Lee Staples putting in 3 hours himself out here at Charlotte. And that practice time starting to pay. Taylor Potts in the 9:31 up 1 spot from 11th to 10th. Taylor Potts involved in one of our cautions we had last night as he tried to split the middle. Didn't quite work out. Again, I am thinking that tonight a lot of these drivers were encouraged to go back and watch the replay of last night's race, and I think they must have. We are on lap 33 of 125 caution-free. Donald Stewart, Tristan Beats side by side. In-car camera with Tristan Beats. In-car camera with Donald Stewart. Donald Stewart trying to work his way around. Donald Stewart heading off into pit row. In-car pit row action with Donald Stewart. Donald Stewart starting off our round of green flag pit stops on lap 34 of 125. Tire wear, a bit of a strain out here at Charlotte. Donald Stewart surely will be taking tires all the way around. Donald Stewart possibly being held for a penalty, spending a little bit more time than he should. Here he comes. He is rolling out. Donald Stewart rolling out of pit row. Mark Jackson, our current race leader, out there in front making his round of green flag pit stops. Pulling back out onto that track. Well, I'm sorry, my bad. That was Donald Stewart. Mark Jackson still out on that track. But I do estimate Mark Jackson should be going into pit row very, very soon. Leading 36 laps out here at Charlotte. Devin Armstrong in second. Edward Bray sitting in third. 5.7 gap on Devin. Devin Armstrong, Edward Bray still putting up a big fight. Pat Rouchet making his way up to 5th position. Edward Bray into pit row for a green flag pit stop, along with Devin. Four drivers in pit row. Edward Bray in his pit stop in the Black Talon Racing. We'll notice this logo on the side by the rear well, Bikers Against Child Abuse. Edward Bray backing Bikers Against Child Abuse, and that is a good thing to back. Edward Bray and Lee Staples, both belonging to Black Talon Racing. Pat Rouchet in the lead on lap 39 of 125. John Pansula moving up to second position. David Casia sitting in third, and Pat Rouchet making his way into pit row. Pat Rouchet ready for Christmas as well in the Grinch. Very nice looking paint job there by Pat Rouchet. Number 931 exiting pit row. Number 15 Anthony Poston in pit row, along with 01 Lee Staples in the 64 making his way back out onto that track. Lots of pit stops going on tonight here at Charlotte Green Flag Racing. Lap 40, Kevin Scott Nelson, our current race leader. Kevin Scott Nelson with a fast lap of a 29.795. Kevin Scott Nelson in the 224 pad. Merry Christmas. A little bit over his pit stop, doing a reset. That'll put Donald Stewart out there in first position. Donald Stewart started 10th, leading his first lap of the night. Mark Jackson has dropped to second position, side by side with Devin. Edward Bray still in it. Now Devin pretty much been in second place, battling with Edward Bray most of the night after that round of green flag pit stops. Devin Armstrong with about a 1.5 lead off of Edward Bray. But Devin is right there with Mark Jackson. These two could be the boys to beat tonight. Taking a look at our running order, as soon as we watch the number 3 of Mark Jackson work his way around. A little bit of lap traffic here with Donald Stewart coming around the lap traffic of the number 91 of Joel Guy. Joel Guy not giving him any. Joel Guy up to speed, has every right to that track. Number 78, Donald Stewart, dropping to the rear of this 3-pack. Mark Jackson, Devin Armstrong. Donald Stewart making his way around Joel Guy. Donald Stewart must get around Joel Guy as well to stay with those leaders. And Edward Bray, 1.4 seconds back. Edward Bray really not that far back. Racing hard with Donald Stewart. Donald Stewart seems to be dropping back. Edward and Donald battling it up for third and fourth. Mark Jackson, Devin Armstrong, first and second, working their way around Joel Guy, the lap traffic. Joel Guy, first driver, 1 lap down. Donald Stewart with a slight brush of the wall. That'll slow you down every time. And lose some momentum. Tristan Beats in position 5. Pat Rouchet, position 6. Now Pat Rouchet, 7 seconds back. This field has greatly spread out. John Pansula sitting in 9th and Travis Browder in 10th. David Casey is sitting back in 11th position, running forward, kicking asphalt. Lee Staples, 16 seconds back. Lee Ryerson Jr., final driver on that lead lap. A mere 23 seconds back, not that far back. Danny Rudy, 3 laps down. Lap traffic belonging to Joel Guy, Jake Ritchie, Taylor Potts, Kevin Scott Nelson, Danny Rudy. Jake Ritchie in the number 17, position 18. Travis Browder finishing up 3rd position last night. Currently sitting in 9th on lap 51. Making a move on the number 40. Number 40F, Garrett Potts. .7 seconds back for Garrett Potts. Donald Stewart, Pat Rouchet putting on one good show out here tonight at Charlotte. Make sure you tune in Friday when we bring out the big boy toys, the Cup cars. That'll be interesting Friday to see how that one goes. Putting the high-speed vehicles out on this 1.5 mile track should be a lot of fun. Drivers will definitely need some extra practice though. Tristan Beats in the 211 has moved his way up to position 4. Tristan started out tonight in 9th. Big shout out there to the young gun, Tristan Beats. Drive for diabetes awareness. Taking you through the field up here on lap 54 from blip mode, so you can get an idea of how far apart these drivers are. Looking at Mark Jackson and Devin Armstrong, the purple truck is the lap traffic of Joel Guy. But we have got first and second by 1.6 seconds back. Edward Bray, 3 seconds back. Tristan Beats, position 4. Coming out up onto the lap traffic of the number 17 of Jake Ritchie. Pat Rouchet, 5th position, 8 seconds back. Donald Stewart, position 6. Lap traffic of the number 24. I do believe 24 belonging to Danny Rudy. Jason Russo, our sponsor for the night, 12 seconds back. Plenty of open road there for Travis to get Jason to get the job done tonight. Travis Browder has fallen to 14 seconds back. Side by side with John Pansula. And Garrett Potts still alive, but 15.2 seconds back. Again, there's really no close racing going on tonight out here at Charlotte. Those green flag pit stops have divided the boys up. David Casey is sitting in 20th. Lee Staples. David Casey in 11th. Lee Staples in 12th. Lee Staples 16.5 seconds back off of our race leader. Paul Pellizier 13th, 20.2 back. And Gary Whitmer Jr. position 14. Still trying to get her done out here. Plenty of time to get her done. Want to give a big shout out there to Over the Top Paints and Designs. John Hedrick, the paint shop. Just about to our halfway point, ladies and gentlemen, in tonight's 125 lap race. David Casey trying to put a move on the number 40 of Garrett Potts. David Casey down to that inside lane. Can he make it stick? Now, being a night race, these Silverados and Tundras, they're going to stick a little bit more than out on the day track. Good for the drivers to be sticking, but David Casey not quite able to make it stick. Garrett Potts down to that apron, guarding that line very, very carefully. Donald Stewart and the lap traffic of Danny Rudy. Donald Stewart trying to get up there to Jason Russo. Jason Russo in the number 14 Pro Automotive Chevy Silverado. Mark Jackson completely large and in charge out here tonight. 3 seconds ahead of Devin Armstrong as we are at our halfway point. Mark Jackson looking to win 2 in a row. Let's jump in car camera with Mark Jackson, and he's going to show us how to work our way around this 1.5 mile speedway. If you do not know how to drive Charlotte, this is how you drive Charlotte. Driving more of a queue line, more of a qualifying line down onto that white lane. We'll drift up towards that wall. Riding along the wall. We'll duck down at the apex of this corner. At the apex, down on the white line. Slow slide back up to the middle then back down onto the white. Mark Jackson definitely doing one hell of a job out here tonight. Devin Armstrong has dropped down to third place position as Edward Bray has finally gotten around Devin Armstrong. Edward Bray in second position. Devin Armstrong sitting in third. Pat Richey tearing up the track, trying to make some waves back up there to position 4. Lee Staples on the heels. But unfortunately, Lee Staples has fallen to 2 laps down. Tristan Beats very safely in 5th position. Tristan Beats has been doing a good job this week out here at Charlotte. Younger driver. Jason Russo coming around the 931. Lap 68 of 125. But we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with you. We are back, folks. Great racing here between the number 51 and the number 40. Travis Browder, Garrett Potts Travis with a good crossover. Back up. Number 40 sees that inside lane open. We talk about the door being opened. Travis Browder opened up the door on that number 40. Number 40 taking a number 40. A little bit of damage into the wall. Well, that'll slow you down. John Pansula going to take advantage of the hit on the number 40. Wall just jumped out and bit at him. Side by side, Pansula and Potts. Positions 8 and 9. Very tight racing, very tight indeed. Tighter than a hair in a biscuit. I think there was contact right there between the number 40 and Pansula. Slowed John Pansula down just a bit. Up to the number 14 of Jason Russo is Garrett Potts. Garrett Potts not being shy. Garrett Potts starting to find his groove out here on lap 78. Number 51, Travis Browder, making his way into pit row. Travis Browder not leading any laps out here as of yet tonight. But doing a great job. Overshot his pit a little bit, though. Tough break there for Garrett or for Travis Browder. Right sides, left sides. Travis possibly getting a penalty. Edward Bray out of pit row. I do believe that Travis Browder may have gotten a penalty in pit row. Edward Bray, the number 66 Chevy Silverado Black Talon Reaper. Getting ready to come back up out on that track. Save entry for the number 66, Lee Staples. Heading on by. Edward Bray 1 lap down. Lee Staples 1 lap down. Lee Ryerson, Travis Browder, Tristan Beats 1 lap down. That'll put Pat Rouchet up there on that front line. Pat Rouchet making his way into pit row, leading 2 laps. Number 91, Joel Guy in pit row. Nice pit stop for Pat Rouchet. We'll put Paul Pellizier out there in pit row in first place position for Paul Pellizier. I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, these boys are making short work of this 1.5 mile speedway. Paul Pellizier, owner of Kickin' Asphalt, out there on that front line. Number 31 in the 1 spot, started 18th. Fast lap of a 29.775 with the last lap of a 31.353. Second place position, Kevin Scott Nelson, 26 seconds back. Mark Jackson, 28 seconds back. And in goes Paul Pellizier for his green flag pit stop. That will put Kevin Scott Nelson out there on that front line once the stats do update. Paul Pellizier into pit row. Squared up, ready to go. Kevin Scott Nelson in the 224 Santa Pad truck, taking over that lead from Paul Pellizier. Mark Jackson, 0.8 seconds back and climbing. 0.5 for Mark Jackson. Mark Jackson on the move once again. Mark has led 73, and there goes Mark Jackson around Kevin Scott Nelson in the 224. 224 into pit row. Got to love these green flag pit stops, ladies and gentlemen. Cannot recall the last time we've had so many green flag pit stops. Don't you wish these drivers could race like this every night? Great job for these drivers. Mark Jackson, Donald Stewart, Edward Bray, Lee Staples up to 4th position. Back to 12 drivers on that lead lap. Gary Whitmer Jr., that 12th driver, sitting at 27 seconds back. On the tail end of David Casia. David Casia, position 11. Gary Whitmer, position 12. Dave Acacia doing a great, awesome job out here. Garrett Pottsville, all these drivers, I am just really very, very impressed tonight with how these drivers are getting around this 1.5 mile track. Travis Browder up to 5th position. Travis Browder working his way around Lee Staples. But again, this track has definitely spread out. Green flag pit stops will spread you out every time. Mark Jackson, plenty of fuel to get the job done. Lap 87 of 125, 38 to go. Pat Richey, 1 lap down. Lee Ryerson, 1 lap down. David Casia, Paul Pellizier, Lloyd Saunders, 1 lap down. Jake Ritchie, 1 lap down. Eleven drivers on the lead lap. One good thing about Charlotte that a lot of drivers do enjoy, Charlotte will pit you against the track rather than against another driver, such as that of what we have on the Super Speedway. Devin Armstrong, a front runner all night, dropping to position 8, 22 seconds back with 36 laps to get her done. Tristan Beats up to 6th position. Racing hard with Lee Staples. Tristan Beats on the inside coming around Lee Staples. Tristan with run. Lee Staples fighting on that outside lane. Tristan making the pass on the number 64 of Lee Staples. Donald Stewart has made his way up to 3rd position, 13 seconds back off of Mark Jackson. Edward Bray, 9.4. That's a pretty cool sight right there. We've got the number 22 and the number 224. 22 of Lee Ryerson Jr. and the 224 of Kevin Scott Nelson. As my wife would call these guys, they're Twinkies. They're looking alike. We're seeing double with the 224 and the 22. That might cause a little bit of confusion there to Dave Acacia. Edward Bray needing to work his way around these two drivers. That's got to be a good sight right there. Edward Bray thinking I might be seeing double. Lee Staples heading off into pit row. Jake Ritchie. Jason Russo sitting in 14th and number 14. Well, we've seen that once before tonight. Jason Russo doing a great job. Solid 14th position for the number 14 Pro Automotive Chevy Silverado. 8 drivers on that lead lap. Garrett Potts, our 8th driver on that lead lap. 27 seconds back. John Pansula, 25 back. Devin Armstrong, 22 back. Devin's been a front runner all night. Until those pit stops started to develop out. Tristan Beats up to 4th position, but still 16.9 seconds back off of our race leader. Travis Browder up to 3rd position. Very interesting situation right here. Our top 3, Mark Jackson, Travis Browder, Edward Bray, they were all our 1, 2, 3 last night, and they were all in top 4. Edward Bray making his way into pit row for his final round of green flag pit stops. I mentioned earlier, I think Mark is good on fuel. I may be wrong on that situation. Mark Jackson possibly having to make one more fuel run. Time will tell. Travis Browder, very strong second, 15 seconds back off of Mark. Tristan Beats, 17.4. Devin Armstrong, 23.8. John Pansula sitting in 5th position for 26 back. Lap 98 of 125, 26 to go. Look at about 13 minutes for Travis Browder to get caught up there to Mark Jackson. Stay tuned post-race for our post-race interviews. Definitely kind of rooting for Mark Jackson myself. Very modest man. Hell of a racer. Big shout out there to Kristen and Mama Patty. Taking one more look at our running order. See where your favorite driver is on tonight's track. 4 drivers on that lead lap. Gary Whitmer in 5th position. Do believe Gary Whitmer got 5th last night, 1 lap down. Tristan Beats, 8th position, 1 lap. Travis Browder has fallen to 2 laps down. Four drivers out there on that lead lap. Gary Whitmer, first driver, 1 lap down with 24 laps to go. Mark Jackson, our current race leader. Mark Jackson doing a very awesome job out here, looking very sharp in the number 3 Chevy Silverado Budweiser America. Brought her home last night. Looks like he might be able to bring her home tonight. But John Pansula and Garrett Potts, 26 and 28 seconds back. Gary Whitmer Jr. has moved up to 4th position. racing against the lap traffic of Donald Stewart. Donald Stewart, 2 laps down. Donald Stewart getting around the number 5 of Gary Whitmer Jr. Gary Whitmer not worrying about Donald Stewart. Donald being 2 laps down with 22 to go. Gary is not even going to risk racing a driver 2 laps down, as Gary Whitmer falls nearly to 1 lap based upon the green flag pit stops developing. Garrett Potts up to 3rd position, racing against the lap traffic of Jason Russo. 3 drivers on that lead lap: Mark Jackson, John Pansula, Garrett Potts. Garrett Potts 29 seconds off of our race leader, Mark Jackson. Field extremely spread out. Gary Whitmer Jr. and the number 31. David Casey, number 20, 1 lap down. Number 931 has done an awesome job out here. Taylor Potts, a newcomer to KMA Racing, brought in by his brother Garrett. Devin coming by the number 19 rather quickly. Nice little save there by the number 19 of Lloyd Saunders. Got a little tough to wind and shook a little bit. 107 of 125 in the books. 7 lead changes, 0 cautions. Mark Jackson, John Pansula, Garrett Potts. Our race leader, David Casey and Lloyd Saunders. Lloyd Saunders 3 laps down. David Casey 1 lap down in 5th position. Paul Pellizier in 4th. 1 lap down. "17 laps to go tonight at Charlotte. Be sure to join us on Friday when we run out the Cup cars. To finish up our week at Charlotte, and Saturday we're moving on to Michigan for a very special event. The happy birthday, Ivan Garcia. I believe Ivan Garcia turning 73, if my memory is correct. We're going to be running 125 laps Saturday night of Michigan in the Camping World Series trucks. It's going to be a lot of fun out there at Michigan. These drivers are having a lot of fun out here tonight, doing a really awesome job of racing out here. Starting to bunch up a little bit. Jason Russo in 8th position. A lot of lap traffic driving going on right here with 78, the 9, and the 51. 51 of Travis Browder has fallen to 2 laps down, side by side with Pat Rouchet, 2 laps down, and Donald Stewart 2 laps down. Travis in and up. Not quite going to be able to work his way around Donald Stewart on that lap. Going to have to back up and regroup and try it one more time. Side-by-side action with Donald and Travis. Getting a little bit racy out here as we are 14 to go. Donald Stewart, Travis Browder, the number 40 of Garrett Potts. Garrett Potts, beside 78, losing momentum. Garrett Potts in 3rd position. Not sure if Garrett Potts' tires are giving out, or if he is just making sure that he does indeed finish tonight. Mark Jackson, our race leader, working his way around the lap traffic of Pat Rouchet. John Pansula is his closest threat, and he is 29 seconds back for position 2. Mark Jackson has led 103 laps out here at Charlotte. That is just unbelievable. Unbelievable for Mark Jackson. Mark Jackson coming up onto, I do believe, the number 40 of Garrett Potts. Now, if Mark passes Garrett, he's going to put Garrett a lap down, and that means there will only be 2 drivers on this lead lap out here tonight, Mark Jackson and John Pansula. Garrett Potts obviously not wanting to get lapped. But it may seem inevitable the way Mark Jackson is rolling around this 1.5 mile speedway. 115 of 125. 10 to go. 7 lead changes. Now the only drivers that have led laps is Mark Jackson, Donald Stewart, Pat Rouchet, Kevin Scott Nelson. Those are the only 4 drivers. 5 drivers with Paul Pellizier. 5 drivers that have led laps out here tonight for 7 lead changes. 116 of 125. John Pansula 30 seconds back. Mark Jackson on a run, trying to work his way around the number 40. Mark is actually in a position where he has not got to drive very aggressively on a 30-second lead with 8 to go. Pretty sure that John Pansula, forsaking a caution, will not catch up to Mark Jackson. I tell you what, folks, that would be an absolute heartbreaker for that caution to come out. Garrett Potts making his way into pit row. That will put Garrett Potts a lap down. 2 drivers on the lead lap, John Pansula and Mark Jackson. That'll move Paul Pellizier to 3rd position. Paul Pellizier 1 lap down. 3rd position. Mark Jackson coming up onto our sponsor for the evening, Jason Russo, in position 10. Jason probably will not contest Mark Jackson at this point. We've got 6 laps to go. Barring a caution, Mark Jackson's got the sign sealed and delivered. Jason's just going to run his line. Will not be giving any interference to Mark Jackson. Edward Bray will move into 2nd position. Mark Jackson, the only driver on the lead lap now. Edward Bray in 2nd. Paul Pellizier dropping to 3rd. Mark Jackson making his way into pit row. This might be a deal breaker for Mark. He's got to get in. He has got to get out. Mark Jackson being 5 laps short on that fuel load. Pit stops are everything right now for Mark Jackson. He's got to have a very fast pit crew. No tires, just fuel. Mark Jackson in and out of pit row. Mark Jackson still has got that lead. Just in and a splash and a dash. Good job, Mark Jackson. Very impressed by Mark Jackson tonight. Edward Bray might have something for him. 8.4 seconds back. Does Edward Bray have enough left in him? Not quite sure Edward Bray is going to catch Mark Jackson. Mark Jackson, 8 seconds ahead with 3 to go. But those tires on the number 3 Budweiser America, they are cooked. Edward Bray up to 7.8. Paul Pelizier, 8.5. Edward Bray, 7.6 and closing. Lap traffic of the 931 Taylor Potts working his way around Mark Jackson, as is the 24 of Anthony Poston. Edward Bray at 7.4 and closing, 123 of 125. 2 to go. Can Mark Jackson hang on for 2 more laps here at Charlotte? Hey, I want to give a big shout out there to Caitlin Ryerson. Today is her birthday. She came out tonight to root on Lee Ryerson, her father. He is in 16th position. But a big shout out there to Caitlin Ryerson. I would sing to you, Caitlin, but you'd probably hang up the broadcast. But nonetheless, happy birthday to you, girl. Mark Jackson, 124 of 125, 1 to go. Awesome run out here for Mark Jackson. Lee Staples will finish in 10th position. First driver, 1 lap down. Mark Jackson, Edward Bray, Paul Pelizier. What a run out here tonight for the number 3 of Mark Jackson. Very impressed with Mark Jackson. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned, and we are going to get interviews in with our top 3 drivers here momentarily. Mark Jackson, Edward Bray, and Paul Pelizier. How about it, Paul Pelizier? Have you got a copy?
Yeah, Scott, how you doing?
Doing good. How are you, sir?
I'm wonderful. I mean, great race considering the long vacation I've been on.
Yeah, this is your first time back in quite a while. Now, we went 125 laps tonight, caution-free. Talk to me about the race.
Great job by all the drivers tonight. I'm really impressed. Car felt great, and track felt great, and all conditions were fine, but the drivers' abilities really shined tonight.
Saw a lot of give and take out there.
Yes, sir.
All right, talk to me a little bit about Kicking Asphalt.
A team of 4 drivers, Jason Russo, Dave Acacia, and Kevin Scott Nelson. And we pretty much represent ourselves pretty well. We're always striving to get better.
All right, you did an awesome job. Glad to have you back. Good, great job on your position 3.
Thank you.
How about it, Edward Bray? You got a copy?
How about it, Scott?
Now, you'll have to refresh my memory, but I do believe you took second place last night.
I do believe so.
So you took second place tonight.
Roger that.
Did a hell of a job out here, brother. Very impressed. You obviously know your way around this track. Now, what did you think when Mark Jackson made his final pit stop? I was a little bit worried for Mark, and you came after that pit stop was completed. You sat at 8.5 seconds back. Did you think you were going to catch Mark?
I thought, I could have swore I was going to catch him, and it was going to be an interesting finish. But evidently, he had some tricks up his sleeve on pit road, and kept it out there in front of me.
All right. Anybody you want to give a big shout out to? I see you got the Bikers Against Child Abuse logo.
Yes, I do. I want to give a big shout out to that organization. Big shout out to Lee Staples, my teammate. Great top 10 finish for him. Big shout out to you, Scott. Big shout out to all the drivers tonight. Awesome caution-free race. And little shout out there to Natalie.
All righty, good job, Edward Bray, and the number 66 with Black Talon Racing. Good job, Ed.
Thanks, Scott.
All righty, how about it, Marky?
Scott!
I want to see you burn down the house, Mark Jackson. That's 2 in a row, brother.
Oh my goodness, we're on our way, and we think we got this over-the-top paint Chevrolet dialed in pretty good. Got some new equipment on this thing, and got some more upgrades coming as well under the hood. So, man, we're just, how about that race? Caution free.
Now, you know, last night we started off a little rough. We ended under green, but a little rough. But we had those long green flag stretches going on. That first caution last night that we had on lap 3, I tell you what, it pissed off a few people. Do you think that had anything to do with tonight being a whole new ball game?
Well, I think that might have had something to do with it. For the most part, when we were at happy hour practice earlier, everybody was driving with a really cool head. And then we had some updates that iRacing did for us tonight. So we were driving with a different tire model, and there were some changes in there with the animated pit crews, and that was all fun. And wow, man, I'm flabbergasted. Don't have any words. I'm just super excited, man.
All right,
2 races in a row at Charlotte. Looking for the hat trick tomorrow, boys. I'm coming for you.
All right, well, it'll be on Friday, but I think you can do it. And a big shout out there to John Hedrick, Over the Top Paints and Designs.
Absolutely. Got to thank my sponsor, Hedrick, Over the Top Paints and Designs. Best damn painter on the planet. And not only that, if you need any kind of graphics work, he's the guy to go see. Talk to him on Facebook. I want to give a shout out to Edward. You know, last night's race, Edward cut me a little break there. And then my other buddy, Paul Pep Belissier, man. I'm really, really happy to see him bring home a 3rd place tonight. Just super proud of that guy. We've been friends for a long time, back in the day since we ran ARCA, and I'm glad he's in this league with us, man. Just all in all, what a race, man. Caution free, Charlotte.
All righty, I tell you what, what a race indeed. All right, Mark, get out there and burn down the house for me.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Scotty. Always a pleasure to listen to you up in the broadcast.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, what a race out here tonight. 125 laps, caution-free, 7 lead changes. Mark Jackson leading 115 laps of 125. Just utter, beyond domination. It is simple as that. Mark Jackson, 115 laps led, bringing it home. Going to take a quick look at those race results, and then we are going to get on out of here. But once again, Mark Jackson winning at Charlotte Motor Speedway. All right, ladies and gentlemen, caution free at Charlotte. We'll see you Friday as we bring out the Cup cars back to Charlotte and see if Mark Jackson can pull down the hat trick. I am Scott Kolovic. This is KMA TV, and we are out of here.